Thank you very much for that, Stephen. I just want to start by thanking everyone to take time out of their busy schedule to spend a little bit of time with us. So I'm just going to start by talking a little bit about our RealView product that we created. It was to help the industry keep appraisers and applicants safe while delivering quality appraisals and to be efficient. And this is going to tie into the presentation a little bit later on when we get into the forms. Next. So the reason why we have the RealView, it's easy and it's secure and it's a mobile web app that you have. The photos are digitally tagged for added security. This is my favorite feature. It pre-populates the photos that the applicant takes right into your forms, and the process automation will allow us to stay up to date. So when the user or the applicant is using our RealView on their phone or tablet, that's what you see on the left. And when they have taken all the photos and click submit, they will then pre-populate into your photo library in the forms. So now we're going to get into some of the meat of our forms. Now, I just wanted to say that we created this presentation for new and beginner users that have not had a lot of experience with our forms, but we also invite our experienced appraisers that are used to using our forms to participate. And we've come up with 14 tips and tricks, and we are open to hear from our experienced users if there's any tip that we've missed that we can add to our next presentation on this. And I want to thank everyone too for submitting some questions ahead of time. And I'm hoping that we're going to be able to answer most of the questions, and then we can also take some other questions at the end. One of the questions was, do I have to use RPS forms? And the simple answer to that is yes. Our lender clients prefer that the reports are done on our forms. And that's why we're doing this webinar, to help you get more comfortable using our forms. And while we understand that there's room for improvement and there's other forms out there in the industry, we have honestly received feedback from our experienced users that they really do prefer to use our forms. And one of the things, whenever I get a call and I'm troubleshooting, the first question I ask is, are you using Google Chrome? Because our forms were built to be optimized in Google Chrome. So the first slide is, how do I access the RPS forms? So if you see with the number 1 there, the first thing you need to do is, from the drop-down box, is choose the appraiser from the firm who's going to be completing the report. And then if a reviewer is required, then you also choose a reviewer. Then down at the bottom, number 2, you'll see the save button. Once you click that, then in the top right-hand corner beside the printer icon, you're going to see the forms button appear. If it's the first time that you're using it, you'll have to go through a user registration. But if you're a user already, then it'll take you right into the forms. So in the background, you'll see that it's a one-pager that will first appear when you click the orange button. It just gives you a little bit of an overview again on the order, the client, the applicant. But once you choose your template, that page will disappear. So at the top, you'll see the template button, and underneath it, you'll see all the various templates for the appraisal associations. And then you would just choose the template that corresponds to the order that you're working on. So now that you've chosen your template, you'll see that it appears there. And then on the right-hand side, you're going to see all these errors with little X's beside them. And as you start filling out your report, those errors are going to disappear, or they're going to go green for you. So now that you have your basic template in place and you want to add additional pages, then you would click on the Forms button at the top. On the left-hand side, those are all the current pages that are in your report. And on the right-hand side, those are all the pages that can be added. So we highlighted the photo page because in the basic template, there is only one photo page in there. And with the lender's terms of reference, they want many more photos in the report than just the 3 that are in our basic template. So you would click on the arrow with the photos and then scroll down and find the photo subject extra 3x5. And then you would drag that page from the right to the left to put the page in your form. You'll also notice on the left-hand side, there's pages with a trash can. So you can delete pages from your report by clicking on the trash can. For example, not every client requires a sketch. So if you're not going to put the sketch in and just keep it in your work file, then you would click the trash can beside the sketch page and you can delete that from your report. So one of the things that we get asked a lot about is the mapping. So we've made some changes not too long ago with how we do our mapping, and we now do it through the DCA grid. So if you'll see there where it says click here to add address, you'll get this pop-up box. This is tied to Canada Post. As you type your address into that pop-up box, you're going to get choices below. And when you do see the address that you're looking for, you just click on it and it will populate it into the grid, and it will also populate it into the map, which we will show later. Now, also with the grid, if everything is validated through Canada Post, you'll see the distance from the comparable to the subject will pre-populate for you. So we used various addresses around our head office when we put them into the grid. And then when you click the map button, because everything was validated through Canada Post, you'll see that the subject and your comparables are already plotted on your map. So this ties back to the RealView product that I talked about a little bit earlier. So if you are giving the applicant the PIN number that is associated with each order, and the applicant uses the RealView product, once they hit complete, if you hit the photo button there at the top on the right, you'll see all the photos that the applicant has taken. And then you have the ability to choose which ones that you want to put into the report. And as you can see, we were dragging and dropping a photo into the photo box. It's that easy to use. So as you're looking down the right-hand side and you see these errors and you're not sure where it corresponds to the report, if you click on the red X, it'll take you to the portion of the report that it's referring to. And I do understand that it's a little bit hard to see, but on the left-hand side, you'll see a little yellow arrow. And that's what, once you click the red X, look for the yellow arrow, and that will indicate the line that the error is corresponding to. So we get asked about common responses. So here in the neighborhood, the section, we just wrote a little bit there, but you write your neighborhood description there, and then you double click, and then you're going to get a pop-up box. And on the right, you'll see a little save icon. Once you click that save icon, it will, your description will be there for your next report. But something to keep in mind, if you're doing a full appraisal, then the common response will be there for future full appraisals. If your next report is a drive-by, it will not appear there. You will have to type it in the next time for a drive-by, but once you save it, it will be there for future drive-by reports.
Just a quick comment there, Baron. One of the things that we're looking at doing in the near future is reworking how those common responses work as well. So for those of you who are frustrated with the limitations on it now, just stay tuned. We're working on a better way of doing that. So I just wanted to let everybody know.
And that's good too, Stephen, because one of the questions that we got asked at the beginning was, can we label our common responses? And at this point, it can't be done, but I know that that's one of the things that we're looking at doing.
Yeah, for sure. Labeling and creating a whole new common response type library for the appraisers is for you folks on the phone who are listening, and for the appraisers who are not listening or not available to be on this call today. That's one of the enhancements we're trying to make in the near future. Exactly. Thanks.
So we get asked, can I work offline? And the answer is yes, but with limited capacity. So if you don't have internet access or you just want to work offline, if you click the PDF button and then choose download fillable PDF, it'll save it to your local drive. So you can do all of the writing of the report offline, but the rule validations won't run. You can't add photos, and you can't do your map, and you can't add your signature. Now, I know that that is something that we are going to be working on again in the future to enhance the working offline. But once you've done all the typing of your report, then you would just click the PDF button again, and this time choose append, and then append the report back in, and then you'll be able to add your photo, your map, your signatures, and then the validation rules will run for you.
And just a little bit of elaboration there, Baron. This is important for individuals who live in areas where they don't have a stable internet connection, especially. So you'll notice our forms are web-based, so they have to be connected to the internet while you're filling them out. And when you're not connected, the changes are not actually saving. So if you're ever concerned about that happening or live in an area where you don't have a stable internet connection, use this method to download the forms. You can complete the majority of the form offline so that your work is saved, and then you append it like Baron said, and then input the remainder of the information. At least then you don't have to worry about losing, a whole DCA grid that you just filled out and you didn't realize you didn't have you weren't hooked up to the internet. So it's important in those areas, especially and we know how frustrating it can be, especially as a former appraiser for a long time, when you fill out part of a report and then you realize that nothing is saved. Well, this will alleviate that and stop that from happening.
So we do have a question from Mike regarding this. My experience is appending PDF deletes fields and data entered. Will this be fixed? So we can definitely take that away, Mike, and do some testing with that. And we can definitely take a look at that to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what these webinars are for, and conversations that we want to have with everybody. When something's not working correctly, we want to know about that. And when you do tell us about that, if you can provide an example of a file, it's more difficult for us to find that issue if we don't have an actual example. So if you have a file number that's happened on, our team can actually go in the background and say, okay, IT's bigger brains, why is this happening? And then we can look at how we can fix it. So.
And to add to that, it's important that you notify us while the report is still in progress. So if you move ahead and fix the issue and then upload the report, it just makes it harder for IT to investigate to find out the source of the issue. So this here just talks about copying images from third-party websites. So we know that you have to use a third-party website to get suitable comparable properties and photos, and you want to be able to copy and paste them directly into your appraisal report. So what we recommend that you do is that you right-click on your mouse when you're hovering over the photo of the comparable and click Copy Picture. Then you go back to your report and put your mouse in the, click your cursor into the box that you want to put the photo, and then you would use your keyboard and hit Control and the V button at the same time, and that will paste it into your report. So since the report is in a PDF format, oh, sorry, Laura, you go back one. That's what you have to use, the Control V, because the paste function will not work in the PDF format. I just wanted to add that. So when it comes to adding a signature to your report, you would add that like you would any photo from your desktop. So your signature needs to be saved to your desktop in a JPEG format. And in any of the boxes where your signature would be required, you would just double click that box and then click open, find your signature, and then it would import it into your report. But we recommend that that's one of the last things that you do, because we built this as a security feature. If you add your signature halfway through or at the beginning of writing the report, as you start working on your report again, the signature is going to disappear. And we built this specifically for co-signing relationships. So if the candidate member finishes the report, tells the reviewer that they're ready to review the report, the candidate will know if something's been changed in their report if their signature is deleted.
Baron, we have a question from Stephen Wong there. I'll read it out. And I think we can have time for this at some point, so no problem there, Stephen. When you have a chance, can you go through the photo auto transfer from the cell phone, and also how we can download and transfer photos clients send to us? So I think you're referring to RealView. So I can touch on that. If that's not what you're asking about, we can address that as well. But so the way RealView works is when the homeowner completes RealView, those photos are actually transferred right into the report automatically. So I don't know, Laura, if you can back up, sort of back to that slide where they have the photos on the right-hand side there. So when RealView is completed, yeah, there we go. You'll get a notification sent by the homeowner, or sorry, by the program itself. And those photos will all appear in the right-hand side within the photo library. Then you can just drag and drop them accordingly. Sorry, part of the question disappeared there. Here we go. How we can download and transfer photos clients send to us. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you can do that. But Baron, I don't know if you want to grab that one, but I can say the first part of it. Obviously, you're going to want to drag those into a folder that's reflective of the file that you're working on with the address. And then from there, you could just add those photos. There's a little bit, I don't know, I'm having a hard time seeing it on the screen here, but you could just add those photos into the photo library. So Baron, I don't know if you want to touch on that a little bit.
So Stephen talked about how the photos work with our RealView product. Stephen, I'm going to assume that if the applicant sent you the photos outside of the RealView, so you can also save those photos onto your desktop. And then each of the photo boxes, you can see it's very small at the top where it says add photos. You can then go click that button and add your photos that the applicant sent you outside of RealView to this photo library. You can do that. Or if you want to individually add a photo, you can just double click the box where the photo is and then import each of the photos separately. So you have actually three options here. You can use the RealView, you can upload the photos with the add photo, or you can add the photos individually. So we have a question again about RealView. Can the appraiser use RealView program to take the photos in their own phones? Absolutely. So you can have the applicant use the RealView to put photos in, but if you also want to use RealView, when COVID is over and you're doing interior inspections, you can use the RealView product yourself to import the photos. And during COVID, if you're not doing interior inspections, then you can still use the RealView product to take your exterior photos. So how do we, Laura, could you go back to one of the first slides so that I can show Stephen where he finds the RealView? It would have been the appraiser portal slide. So if you want to move forward, no, move forward, Laura, please. One more. One more. One there. So Nope, there, sorry. So you'll see at the top where you see the order ID, client, and PIN. So you need to send the applicant that PIN number and the link beside it. So that's what they would put in there. They would put that URL in their phone or tablet, and then they would have to enter the PIN. And the last thing they have to enter is their postal code. And it's important to tell the applicant that they have to use the postal code that the lender used when they ordered it. And we understand that the applicant may say to you, that's actually not my postal code, but in order to use the RealView, they have to use the postal code that was provided by the lender in the order. And with those, they would open the URL, enter the PIN, and then enter the postal code, and RealView is ready for them to use. Laura, can you go back to where we were? So I can't seem to input any information into my report. So there's a few, I know there's the one tip here, but just a few. In the beginning when I had said that you need to use Google Chrome. So when I get a call saying I can't enter data, as I said, one of the first things I'll ask is, are you using Google Chrome? If they say no, I'm using Internet Explorer, I will advise them that that's why they can't seem to enter certain data into the report. I'll ask them to log out, log back in with Google Chrome, and 99% of the time, I get a call back or an email saying that that was the issue and it works perfectly. Or one of the other things, if the forms don't seem to be moving ahead, adding, or something seems to be off, we recommend that you hit the F5 key on your keyboard. That refreshes everything, and it also makes sure that you're reconnected to the RPS server. So
depending on, sorry, Baron, to interrupt, I apologize. You may or may not have to press Control F5 for that to happen. It depends on the setup of your computer, but often Control is required as well.
So one of the things that I always like to tell users as well, think of our forms as your banking app. So if you open your banking app on your phone and you do a bit of banking, then you put your phone down, you go get lunch, you know, the banking app is still going to be open on your phone, but you're no longer connected to the banking server for security reasons. And then the same with ours. If you're working on a report and you go for lunch and you leave your report open on your computer, you know, you should hit F5 before you leave, because that will make sure that all the data is transferred to our server. And before you start working on your report again, hit the F5 key again, and that will make sure that you're reconnected to the RPS server.
So there's another question I'd like to answer from Arlene. It's where can we find the AIC scope page in the forms library? So Arlene, the way that actually works is on page 6 of the 0518 AIC form, there's actually a scope section at the bottom. As you fill that out and you use up the space that's available there, it automatically will create an additional scope addendum. So I'll just reiterate that on page 6 of the AIC 0518 form at the bottom, there's a scope section. And within that text, that freeform text box, if you fill up the space within that text box, it will automatically create an additional addendum page which says scope other, and you can put in all of the information that you want there.
And Stephen, one of the questions that we got beforehand, is there a saved comparable database available?
That's a great question, and not at this time. It is on the agenda to incorporate that into the technology at some point. We actually just contracted the appraiser who originally, sorry, not the appraiser, we recontracted the IT individual who helped create the forms in the first place, because we're planning on doing a bunch of improvements middle to the end of this year. So that will be part of the planned improvements there as well. So hopefully we'll get that done in this year, but yeah, not available now, but definitely on the radar for sure. I have another question from Stephen Wong on how do we find the RealView function. I'm not entirely sure what you mean, Stephen, but if you mean how do we access it, we have a set of instructions that we can send out to the group afterwards, which is a very easy to read and easy to use set of instructions that gives you all the details you would need in order to use the RealView. Essentially, all it is a URL, though. You go to that URL, you log in. I don't know if we have some information on that from the beginning of this. Oh yeah, this is an example here. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a URL that says upload photo URL, and it says HTTP, and then it says RPS realsolutions.upload. You input that into your phone, and from there you enter the postal code and the PIN. Available, yeah, it's just over there on the left-hand side. You can see it there. You input the postal code that's on the order, which is in the top right-hand corner of the address there, along with that PIN, and that'll get you into the application. As long as those two match, you're going to get in, and that's going to automatically associate that with the file that you're working on. So any pictures that you take will auto transfer right from RealView into your appraisal form. So when you get back to the office, or if somebody else at the office is working on it, those pictures are already available to them. So one of the applications that I really like about RealView as an example, if any of you are working with candidates, which I'm sure some of you are, you can have your candidate being at the property, doing the inspection, taking the photos, and you can start to see the photos in real time coming in. And you can actually say to the candidate, you know what, I need a couple more pictures of some of these rooms because these ones aren't the way that I want them, or they're not clear. And then you can send them a text message or give them a call and have them get the rest of the pictures right while they're at the property. So kind of a cool feature, and a really good way of really good practical way of using RealView. It also says that'd be great if you could email it out. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, we can email that out after the presentation, the RealView instructions, just so that everybody has it. Laura, you said there were some other questions. I'm just trying to find them.
Here's one for Stephen. Haley asked, when downloading a fillable PDF, when it's then printed, many times information is missing. And I just got a pop-up that blocked the rest of the question. When I check the report on the RPS site, the information is there. How do I correct that? So Haley, it's nothing that you're doing wrong. The review is designed to take place online you'll see all the information there. You are correct. If you download a fillable PDF and then you print it, there is sometimes not all the information is going to be there. And Stephen, I don't know if that's something that we can look into.
Yeah, well, if I'm understanding the question or the series of events that's happening there, if you're doing it offline, there's going to be information missing in the way that the form is designed today. Like Baron said, you can't do the maps, you can't do the photos, and none of the review questions are going to be made available. Once you append that or pen that back into the portal, all of that information will now be available to print off, including the what's the last page, Baron, called quality review checklist.
Right. Yep.
That'll now be available. So printing it from the offline version, it's not going to have all the information that you're looking for. So append it back first, and then print a copy of it from there. There's also another option. Once you complete the report, that report is available under that file at any time in a PDF format. You can just go there and print it off. If your concern is, and I'm not sure what your concern is, but I assume your concern is that you want a paper copy for your file. I would complete the report and then go into the portal and actually get the completed PDF, which is going to have all of your information for your paper copy. However, I would say, save trees and do something digitally and print it off PDF file. I wouldn't be responsible if I didn't say that. So there's that option as well. Print it in a digital copy and keep it stored on a hard drive somewhere.
So Stephen, another question that we got ahead of time is how do you unlock a field or add to a field that has been locked? And I know that we've gotten some recent questions around design style. And so currently, if the style is not in the drop down, you can let us know and in future iterations, we can add that, or there was some talk about unlocking that field as well.
So are we talking of predefined choices within a dropdown? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So one thing I will say, which is unfortunately makes it a little bit more complicated than we would love for it to be, but with the scenario forms, no problem. If there's an option in there that you think requires addition, let us know. We'll have a look at it and we can look at adding it. With the AIC form, unfortunately, the way the AIC committee works is if they have a predefined set of drop-down choices, and they want all AMCs and software providers to align with the recommendations from them. If a recommendation is not on there, or sorry, if a choice is not on there, what has to happen at this time with the AIC is you have to submit that to, you can either submit it directly to the AIC or you can submit it to RPS, and we have to go through a forms committee at the AIC to say, you know, here's something that's not on your list of drop-down choices. There has to be a case to add it. If there's a case to add it and the AIC approves it, then they'll send out a communication to the software provider saying, you know, we want this added to the drop-down. So I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can on here, but it's more complicated than you would think for just adding a drop-down menu because of that limitation. So, but yeah, if you have any thoughts on what you think needs to be added to any of the drop-down menus, feel free to share it with us. We can take it away and talk about it with the association and see if it makes sense to add that, or maybe just having a conversation with Baron or myself on what you are trying to accomplish. We may be able to help you accomplish that with the technology as it is today.
So we know that we're not going to be able to get to all the questions today. However, we are able to download the questions from the webinar, and over the next week or so, we will reach out to you individually to review some of your questions and or concerns. We also have the ability to screen share. I would just set up a meeting in Microsoft Teams with you, and then we can share the screen back and forth so that we can better see what the particular issue is. And I'd be happy to work through whatever issue you're experiencing. We can set up individual meetings and we can go through maybe some specific things that didn't get addressed today.
Yeah, Baron, there's just maybe one or two more I'll just quickly address. One is from Drew Dixon. We will recap Drew, so don't worry, just before we end the call, where you can access the webinar and so on. So I'll get to that in 1 second. There was one more. Let's see, when I've done from another report, I downloaded to PDF and then a pen, and sometimes the information transfer. Okay, I think we sort of talked about that a little bit, but if you have an issue there, Karen, if you could send an example again of any time when you're having that issue. I wouldn't say the only way that we know about issues is when somebody tells us, but really we rely on the user to actually tell us what's not working properly. We do testing internally, obviously, but we don't catch everything. You know, we're trying to do better there, but unfortunately we don't catch anything. So we don't catch everything. So if you do have examples or while that's happening, if you send that file to us so that we can investigate, because every time you report that to us, it's one less time that somebody else has to deal with that issue in the future. So we honestly and genuinely want you to send us that type of information, because our goal is to make it so that when we have a webinar, you don't have to tell us about all the problems. You're telling us about how everything works perfectly, right? And so that's the state that we want to get to. Obviously, we're not there, and I you know, fully acknowledge that. So yeah, please do send us examples of when that happens. And then just back to Drew. So we're going to make this webinar available. It'll be available within the appraiser portal. Correct me if I'm wrong, Laura Barron, we're going to be sending it out with a link to the video after this as well, along with what Stephen had requested there. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh yeah, the instructions to RealView. You know, we'll make it all happen. So again, anything that you guys have, whether it's a concern or, you know, we don't hate compliments either. So anytime you have those are always welcome. But obviously, if you have any issues, if you have any troubles with things, don't necessarily wait till the webinar. I mean, happy to answer and help with the webinar, but if it happens, you know, send it to us right away. We want to get that fixed so that, you know, you don't have to go 3 months or 2 months or even one more day with the same problem. If we can solve it quickly, we will, and if not, we'll put it into a schedule that we can work on figuring out how to fix it and make it better. Baron, do you have any closing comments you wanted to make?
I just wanted to thank everyone again for taking time out of their busy schedule. And again, if there was something that we maybe covered too quickly or we didn't cover, reach out to us and I'll be happy to talk to you, and we can work through if it's an issue or a training. We're here to help.
Yeah, exactly. And if I didn't say it already enough times, you know, really genuinely want to thank everybody for being here, for being candid about the stuff that you're going through every day with the, you know, forms issues and different things. Wish you all the best. Thanks again for all your hard work, and we'll see you again real soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.